Okay, this is Master Asian Man. Have you subscribed yet? If not, do it right now. Today, we are going to talk about this insane story coming out from St. Michael's Catholic School in Calgary. Anti-black activists are calling for resignation of the principal of that school for the use of the N-word. There was an audio of the principal using the N-word recorded by one of the students who was being disciplined. Basically, it's a very short recording of the principal saying, if it's not okay for me to use the N-word, why should it be okay for you to use the N-word? So what's wrong with that? She wasn't using it as a derogatory term. She was simply using it for educational purpose to discipline the students why the use of N-word is bad. So this outrage that this principal is racist, that itself is outrageous. What is more outrageous is a response coming from the BLM activists. According to the CBC article, this one activist said, quote, "It is a word that we are reclaiming that was used to oppress people. And if you're not black and you're using that word, you're using it as an oppressor and it means you have privilege. If you have privilege and use that word, you are being an oppressor and you are being racist, quite frankly." So who is a racist in this case? Let's think about it. You have a situation where you just change the color of your skin, you suddenly become the racist or the oppressor. So tell me now, who is a racist in this case? This lady's statement or the principal? And there is another black educator saying, quote, "When someone else uses it who is not black, who is white, especially someone in a position of power like this, you're basically saying, I'm taking that power back from you, and I'm going to use it in the same manner that it was used in the past to put you in a traumatic and violent state." Wow, you're putting a lot of words in her mouth right now. And if you look at the context, she was strictly using it for educational purpose. This is some crazy shit that's going on here. If you look at stories like this, or when Kendrick Lamar was calling out her fan for using the word in a song, it is clear that they're not using this word to empower themselves, but to police the others. Oops, sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say word police. I mean community patrol. Anyhow, that is the whole purpose of this. These activists don't look at contact. If somebody other than black uses this word, they're gonna come after you. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, it's because you don't know the history. If you know the history of white people oppressing us, you'd understand. You are the one who's taking it out of context. So if that is true, then is it okay for me to use the N-word? Since my people don't have the history of oppressing the black people. So it should be totally fine for me to use the N-word, right? But of course not. Even if an Asian uses that word, they're gonna go nuts. I betcha. Then how can we solve this N-word problem? It is so racist for these anti-racist group to say that only black people can use N-word. But you know what? Let me tell you, this is how you use the N-word properly. First, if you want to reclaim the word, you always try to use it in a positive context and try to get rid of all the negative connotations and meaning out from this word completely and make it public so that everybody uses it, no matter if you're black, white, brown, green, whatever the color you are. Secondly, you leave this word in the past. You can put it in the history book, novel, documentary, wherever, but leave it in the past because that's what other cultures and other countries have done. When Japan colonized Korea back in the 20s, they had a term to degrade Korean people. We don't use that word anymore. Everybody knows what the word is, but nobody says that to each other because that's dumb. Because we left it in the past. Tell me one culture or country that still has the derogatory terms used against themselves and now they just call each other that word. Just tell me one country or one culture. So here, now I have the realistic solution for you. You can either make it widely available or don't use it at all. Which one is it going to be? But here's a sensational third choice that you'll hear from nobody but only from Masked Asian Man. Learn Korean. Yes. Do you remember Psy from Gangnam Style? He actually had another song. Let's take a listen. Ooh, did he just say the N-word? Yes, he did. It means you in Korean. Black people say it's their word. Actually, it's our word. We've been using it for thousands of years. Yes, you probably only used for a few hundred years. We had it for thousands. So just learn Korean and speak with each other in Korean. That way, you won't be policed by these BLM thugs. Today's summary, 누가 구독을 해야죠? 네가.